sadly, even the world of video games can't escape politics. Yes, folks, you heard that right. Our world, the world of gaming, a world that was made for fun, can't escape real life politics. For example, on Thursday, whilst I was in class, I saw an article was published. I think it was this one exactly. It's Scoop. Ubisoft canceled the post-Civil War Assassin's Creed game last year by Stephen Totillo. Interesting. What does that mean? A post-Civil War Assassin's Creed game. Let's read a bit of the article. In July of last year, word began to trickle through Ubisoft that an ambitious new installment of the company's top franchise, Assassin's Creed, had been canceled. The new game would have brought the history-spanning series to one of its most modern settings, the American Civil War, and, more so, the Reconstruction period that followed in the 1860s and the 1870s. In the Reconstruction era's Assassin's Creed game, gamers would have played as a black man who had been formerly enslaved in the South and moved west to start a new life. Recruited by the series' assassins, he would return to the South to fight for justice in a conflict that would, among other things, see him confront the emergence of the Ku Klux Klan. When I read this article, I thought to myself, okay, seems kind of like an interesting concept, you know? Knowing Ubisoft, it's definitely going to be extra political because, Ubisoft, everything has to be extra political. But on the other hand, I also told myself that even though it sounds like an interesting concept, that it's definitely based on the fact that they made a black guy in Japan destroying Japanese people game, so that basically gave them the boost of morale that they needed to make if we can do a black guy killing Japanese game, then we can do a black guy killing white guys game. Now, does that mean that I like the Ku Klux Klan? No, on the opposite. I think that they're hateful and that they're bigots. But does that mean we need a game to basically just shove down our throats? Yes. White supremacists evil. Ooh. We need a black guy to fight him because he's black. No. No one cares. And let's keep reading a bit of the article. The people were enthusiastic about the game but were also frustrated by its cancellation, which they perceived as Ubisoft bowing to controversy. 3 sources told GameFile that word filtered through the company last July that management in Paris had stopped development of the game for 2 reasons. Online backlash that sprang to the reveal of Yasuke, a historically, quote-unquote historically, inspired black samurai as a protagonist in the company's then upcoming Assassin's Creed Shadows. Ah, yes, the famous black assassin that was historically inspired by a black samurai, who in reality was not a samurai, but he was nothing more than a slave that got traded between the Portuguese to the Japanese because I'm pretty sure the Japanese never saw a black person before and they were really curious. So that's literally why they traded him. And I'm pretty sure he also stayed there for maybe a couple of years as well. So, yeah. The entire game was basically made to be like, oh my god, the legendary Yasuke, who tore down orders of Templars and evil Japanese people and restored liberty, democracy, and freedom. When in reality, he was basically... I'm sorry to say this, but he was basically an oddity and more of like a pet to the Japanese than anything else. And point number 2, concerned that the political climate in the United States was becoming increasingly tense. The 2024 election of President Donald Trump, which, according to leftist sources, brought fascism back from extinction and into the Oval Office. Yeah, sure. It's continue. Too political in a country too unstable to make it short. Why? Who is making the country unstable again? Is well, I'm out of words here. What does that mean? Too political in a country too unstable? It's not too political. It's too propagandized and too dumb to be made an actual game. It's not too political. It's that it's too propagandized, showing a most likely showing a history of a guy that never existed. Yasuke existed, but it's like the history they were trying to portray doesn't exist. It would probably be the exact same thing with this black character. And you know what's worse? Is that Ubisoft actually makes good games with good characters that are supposed to be quote-unquote minorities. Let's look at Connor, for example, in Assassin's Creed 3. One of, in my opinion, if not the best assassins in the entire series. He's the most compelling, has the greatest arc, and I think it links up and ends well the entire Kenway storyline with Haytham and Connor. But let's go to IGN, for example. What do you say? Ubisoft allegedly scrapped early plans for an Assassin's Creed game set during the US post-Civil War period, a reporter has claimed, with the decision made primarily due to anxiety surrounding the country's current political climate. Again, with the political climate. I'm gonna tell you something. I genuinely believe, for as long as I've been into video games, these people that talk about the current political climate, quote unquote, they don't care about the political climate. They just know that if they made a game like this, it would have flopped so badly that it would have basically collapsed their entire company. I mean, it's Ubisoft we're talking about here. They're basically on the brink after every singular release. GameFile reported on the previously unknown project's cancellation and stated that Ubisoft ultimately decided to walk away from its plans in July 2024 amid increasing political tensions in the US, meaning the upcoming elections of President Trump, and after a strong backlash to the reveal of Assassin's Creed Shadows, which was a terrible game where you played as a big brutish black guy killing Japanese people and a Japanese woman shinobi. Which, by the way, I'm pretty sure she didn't even exist in real life. She was created. Co-protagonist Yasuke, a historical black samurai. Historical character, but not a black samurai. The unnamed project was also planned to feature a black protagonist, which, again, is not a problem if it's done well. A former slave, okay, sounds interesting, from the South who would join the assassins and fight the Ku Klux Klan. This is going to sound controversial, but why would he fight the Ku Klux Klan? I mean, it sounds like a stupid question, but why would he fight the Ku Klux Klan? There has to be a reason for that storyline to happen, not just because, oh, Ku Klux Klan evil. The Templars join the Ku Klux Klan? Did they help form the Ku Klux Klan? Do the Ku Klux Klan have some shards of Eden? Because that's how it usually goes with Assassin's Creed games. It has to actually make sense in the storyline and in the general consensus of the game and the world that it's surrounded around. Not just, oh, a black free slave fighting the Ku Klux Klan because they're the Ku Klux Klan. What's the storyline behind this? That would honestly be interesting to find out. Let's keep reading. While still in the concept phase, early work has been greenlit by Ubisoft bosses in Paris and was underway at Assassin's Creed Shadows development studio, Ubisoft Quebec. That's not a good sign. That would have just told us everything we need to know about where this entire project was going to go. Not that Yeah, sure, the Ku Klux Klan is bad, but there's a reason they're fighting him. No, it's just because it's the Ku Klux Klan, it's white, and it needs to be annihilated. Which, in normal terms, I do agree that the Ku Klux Klan should be annihilated, but unless it makes sense to the story why a black assassin would be fighting this type of order, why would the game exist? Why? Set during the US Reconstruction period, the game's story would naturally have dealt with issues such as the rights of former black slaves. I wonder how an assassin could have possibly changed the rights of former black slaves. Racial violence. Okay, in what sort of way would it actually gotten into racial violence except for saying, yeah, white guy's bad, black guy's good? And followed from the assassination of US President Abraham Lincoln. Now, see, that would be an interesting storyline. For example, I don't know, was the assassin of Abraham Lincoln maybe like a Templar, and then automatically that sort of leads to the Ku Klux Klan storyline, where, for example, the black guy assassin was at the event that Abraham Lincoln got shot at, and he kind of has to uncover this entire secret connection. He uncovers the formation of the Klan and like its sort of creation by members of the Templars, and he decides to be like, oh, okay, so now with this information in mind, I need to kind of go to the assassins, tell them that there's this big sort of evil racist order forming inside of the country that we need to take down. And that would be a sort of interesting plot, but I don't think it would have gone that way. Several flashback sequences were also planned to be set during the Civil War itself. Now, see, it sounds like an interesting concept, but knowing Ubisoft, it would have been botched. Word of the decision filtered through the company last summer, just days after the attempted assassination of Trump in Pennsylvania, though it was not directly connected to this event, the reporter states. Well, let's see what the inspiration for the game was. Sources told GameFile that the idea behind the game has been to show how racial tensions can be used to control society. Instead, in a source's words, Ubisoft ultimately decided the project was too political in a country too unstable. I mean, you can still release a good written game. You do understand that, right? A game that is well written, released in a country that is politically unstable, is still a good game. If you write it correctly, if the characters are actually compelling, if the storylines actually match up and make sense. Not just, oh, this guy is black and automatically that makes him good. Why would he be fighting the Ku Klux Klan? How would he impact racial violence between white people, black people, Asians, Indians? How would he actually have helped any of it except you showing propaganda and being like, oh yes, white people are bad because they're white? More generally, the cancellation came amid a turbulent time for Ubisoft, which, aside from the delayed but successful launch of Assassin's Creed Shadows, the game that I think a small portion of the entire population played and nobody really talked about past its release date, has otherwise suffered a number of high-profile flops, layoffs, studio closures, and game cancellations. Well, duh, obviously. When you make non-stop flops, when you make non-stop slop, you're gonna flop, and your games are gonna get canceled. Make a good story. Fire everybody that's useless and trying to put propaganda, any sort of propaganda in video games, and write a compelling game. Write another game like Assassin's Creed 1, or Assassin's Creed 2, or 3, or Black Flag. Actually sit down, think about who you could hire to write a good Assassin's Creed game, and hire them to make a good, compelling game. Instead of making slop that maybe 20,000 people are going to play and never open again once they finish. As of this month, Assassin's Creed alongside Far Cry and Rainbow Six are now run by Vantage Studios, the newly named separate business entity formed by Ubisoft with a 25% stake from Chinese giant Tencent. Tencent. Of course. The first Ubisoft creative house, Vantage Studios, will comprise workers within the company's Quebec studio alongside Montreal, Sherbrooke, Saguenay, Barcelona, and Sofia offices, and has been told it has complete creative and business control. Okay, interesting. The Assassin's Creed franchise is, as ever, enjoying a bustling period of releases. Yes, the flop of Assassin's Creed Shadows is what I would call a bustling period of releases, indeed. With the first expansion for Assassin, oh my god, who thought it was a good idea to get an expansion for Assassin's Creed Shadows? Launched last month. And the Saudi Arabia funded DLC for Assassin's Creed Mirage coming soon. Yeah, I heard about that yesterday, that apparently Saudi Arabia wanted to fund a new DLC for Assassin's Creed Mirage. That game, which I never played but heard was apparently overrated, but it wasn't that bad. A highly anticipated remake of pirate entry Assassin's Creed Black Flag remains unannounced, but it is widely expected to arrive in the not too distant future. See, this is what they should be concentrating on. A remake of Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Imagine playing as a Kenway again and sailing on the seven seas and basically just being a pirate again, taking over those outposts. That would be an interesting game. I would rebuy and replay it 1,000% if they remade it. Sorry for the long rant. It's just I had to talk about this because it's really dumb. The whole Ubisoft situation is just extremely dumb. And I kind of had to get a couple of things off my chest. I don't know if any of this makes sense, but yeah, it was a bit long, but I had to get it off my chest. I hope you enjoyed, and see you next time. Have a good day, and God bless you.